never be cocky about winning. You being humble that individuals see something in you to continue to lead and represent is important. And so for me, and I think for this one, it definitely was extremely humbling because, you look at the part of being the first, and that's a huge thing. So for me, working in a school system, I think one of the biggest things that for me that was humbling is the amount of attention or attentiveness that my students had towards this election. They can't vote, but wanting to know the process, wanting to be involved. Some of my former students that were eligible to vote for the first time, what can they do to be involved? And so realizing that, what I'm doing is energizing the next generation to take over and develop them is my task now. And so
Get it. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Hoodie Talk podcast. I know we've been gone for quite some time here, taking little breaks and everything. We have another, I can't even call him a guest because he's back again for round 2. And this time he's got a new name this time.
Hold on. You know what we call you? We call you DJ Derell.
DJ Derell. DJ Derell's in the building, but properly he's known as. Now, what's the full title? Give me the proper title.
So my new title will be, at the moment it is State Representative-elect of the 46th District.
First black.
Yes.
Yes. First black. That's what they said. That's what I read.
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
I mean,
history.
That's history, bro.
History.
I mean, you would think it would already happened, but just how it goes. So how does that feel for you being the first African American male?
I mean, I will say it took me a few days to kind of take it in. I think when I started running back in May, those are things you don't really grasp or think about. And as time gets closer, election day is extremely long. We get up and there's really no sleep because it's like a game day. You just the adrenaline is pumping. So, but election day is long, and it also gives you this perspective of getting a chance to take a step back and really savor the moment. And so, you go from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Really, just all the hard work you put in the months before, weeks before, really getting a chance to just take a step back and see what it brings up.
So you're just sitting there waiting?
Well, so on election day, I'm out and about at my various polling places. So in the 46th district, there are 3 polling places. So meeting the voters, greeting the voters as they come to vote, thanking them for coming out and voting, and all of those other little things that come with election day.
Making your rounds.
Out and about with some of our constitutional officers, which would consist of the governor, the comptroller, treasurer, our U.S. Congressman Joe Courtney, Senator Blumenthal, different people like that, being out and about in the community on that day. But it gives you still a chance to take a step back and really savor the moment. And so, sitting there and realizing that, actually out in the cold and just, really realizing that, this was a history-making moment. It just made me humble. You work hard for it, but it just makes you humble. And for individuals to choose me to be the next state representative in the 46th district, it's a huge honor. But it's definitely humbling to be representing the city of Norwich and Hartford now.
I got a question.
Go for it.
How many signs did you put up? I know you know too. I know you know, or you can't tell us. I know you know.
So at first I will say, you when you start campaigning, you don't realize the signs as they go out. I would say while cleaning up, I probably picked up over 200 signs. So, and, we had some large signs that were out and different things like that. So, but you don't realize it. And, even on the day of the election there, you go to a polling place, there's 10,000 signs.
10,000.
So you have every candidate has signs, and, so it was a lot of signs. But I didn't have the most. I mean, there were other people with many more than me, the governor and constitutional officers, because they're at every polling place. And we've got 6 in Norwich. So, but yeah, it was a lot of signs.
Can you name these are locations that people could vote at?
Yeah. So depending on where you live, there are 6 voting precincts in Norwich. You have a voting precinct at HTP, which is over in the Laurel Hill, Hamilton Ave section of town. You have St. Mark's Church, or right up here on Broadway, which would be really the part of Greenville, part of the downtown Broadway area up past NFA and Bacchus. That section would vote at that church. Taffville votes, most of it votes at the senior center along with Greenville.
Oh, okay.
And then you have Moriarty, which is the Canterbury Turnpike and that Norwich town area there. And then you have Huntington School, which is the Yannick area, part of Norwich town as well. They vote at Huntington. And then, let's see, Stanton, which is our largest polling place.
Okay. Largest.
And that is the Lower West Side all the way up past the 95 corridor.
Gotcha.
So all of that area votes at Stanton, and then you come back some, they all vote there as well. So we've got a lot of polling places, a lot of work that goes into it, and we have to have somebody that puts up signs. We have got to have people there at each polling place throughout the election day. So it's a lot of work that goes into planning that portion.
Jay here from Hoodie Talk. Listen, if you made it this far, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share this. Make sure you comment, talk to us, interact with me. Thanks for coming by, and hey, thanks for watching this far. Keep going. The gems and information get better. Peace out. It's that easy.
Success.
Man, that.
Well, and then let me not forget, we still do also have down at City Hall on election day, same day, the registration piece. Down at City Hall, which is this year was at the 23 Union side, where individuals would register and be able to vote there as well.
Okay. Last minute people.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Gotta love us last minute people. So I'm curious, because I know that there had been some point of adversity through the whole entire, election process and the running and everything. So did you face any, stumbling blocks or anything along the way?
Well, I will say that, this is not my first election running for office. I ran for mayor back in 2017, and I've had 2 runs for council. But I will say this election by far, this process was humbling and different. There are a lot more rules and things that you just have to abide by. So, running for city council or municipal elections, the fundraising periods and how much you can raise and what you can do, it's much different. Being part of the state rep race, I participate in what they call the Citizens Election Program, CEP. And pretty much what that means is I have to meet a certain threshold of fundraising, which is I had to raise $5,800, and I had to have 150 people from Norwich to donate to my campaign at least $5.
Oh wow!
So
you just can't run
it's just
guidelines, right?
I mean, if you don't want to participate in the program, that's one thing. But if you're going to participate in the program, that's the guideline. So you must do that before you get the large grant. So the large grant is around, I think, just under 28 or a little around $28,000. And the purpose of that is everybody gets the same amount of money. So it's a level playing field as far as what money each campaign has. No
That's
matter
money
what
to
side
campaign with?
Correct. So that's the money that you would use for buying signs, paying staff to go out and canvass, paying marketing staff, paying individuals to help run your campaign, social media, all of those things. That's the money you use.
So these are the steps if you wanted to run.
So you go through the process. Well, first you must be nominated. So I was blessed to be nominated by, we have what we call a convention of the 46th district, the Democratic Town Committee. And so I was blessed to come out of that as the endorsed candidate. There's still a window where if somebody wanted to petition to primary me, they could do that. And then that primary would have taken place in August, along with the statewide primary day.
Okay.
After, if nobody primaries you and all of those other things, post-August, it's really the push towards the general election. So you'll know who you're on the other side or anybody else that may be running. But once you have been nominated, you've done the paperwork. There is paperwork that has to be submitted to the Secretary of State and all of that to make sure that you're on the ballot. You want to make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. There are all little other parts, interviews with different groups to gain their support and endorsements. You're also out going to different events, talking to different people, knocking on doors, all that little work that goes into it. What happens is you come up with a game plan, what you want to do, how you want to run your campaign. Once you've been endorsed, or if you've won the primary, if you have one, that's the next step.
What was a major point for you in your game plan?
I think for me, it's because I know that voter interaction is important. It's the door knocking piece for me. It's making sure that, I've knocked many of these doors before. It's the part of having conversation with people again and letting them do the talking and me listen. So, I knocked on thousands of doors. And as a campaign, we did the same thing, and we listen. But also, as people ask questions, I have, a small game plan of my focus, things that I know, having had conversations with people, are a focal point for people. So it's a mix of both.
What was one the main things that you heard from knocking door to door? Was it the school system? Was it the roundabouts? What was the...
Well, I will say, so for me, the big push in Eastern Connecticut, and I always go back to the pandemic, it has been jobs, has been the economy, the rising costs, and all of those things. And so that still reigns true for many families. At one point, this region, if not even over a year and a half ago, was one of the highest unemployed percentages in the state. Wow. And so, you look at the effect that the pandemic has had on us, but also you look at the optimism of all of the projects that are going to be popping up in Norwich and in the region. And so the focal point of making sure that our people here in the city of Norwich get a bite of the apple of those opportunities is important and it's paramount. And so listening to that and understanding that is important. On the ballot, I'm elated that it passed, was the school renovation or construction bond. And so that was a bond that's worth $385 million to redo our school system.
Holy shit.
So that means, and they've started, we're not waiting. They've already started meeting again, nice. Coming up with a plan to give our kids the best resources in the classroom, new buildings. So partly the plan is for 4 elementary schools, renovating as new teachers' memorial, and doing Huntington. Nice. So part of this is now the work begins of the conceptual designs, and the back work to getting these buildings constructed to give our kids the best moving forward for education. And so I think that's key to it. When people talk about an education system, we should be giving our teachers, our staff, our kids the best resources. And that means class space. That means new technologies. That means energy efficient buildings. You think about it, it's a burden on parents in the winter when, we don't know if a boiler is going to go. It's a burden on a family in the summer or in the early fall when we have no AC. So those things are important because we want to make sure that our kids are comfortable going to school, because when our kids are given the best, they give their best.
It's true.
And so I've been, so excited that has passed, and we're working to get that moving forward. And that will bring a lot of jobs for years to come, because this is not just a 1 year of construction. There's continual construction.
A lot of time.
And so that's a starting process, so that's another thing that came out of this election, the overwhelming support to get this project done, and realizing that it moves the city in a positive direction.
What's one thing that came out that you don't agree with?
I mean, there's not much that I don't agree with, that came out of the election.
Or you weren't a big fan of?
I think everything that the results of the election overall, I think I'm a fan of. Early voting was the other question on the ballot, and I'm all for giving people more access to being able to vote. I think that's the more people we get to allow their voices to be heard, and realizing that the dynamic of how people live is changed. So giving them that opportunity to exercise that right is important. The more people that we can hear their voice and they feel valued, the better. So I really have no complaints about the election. I think it was self-explanatory. People have made it known, and now it is our job as those that have been elected to continue to listen, but now to put into action some of the things that are on the minds of our.
So this is like never ending. Like you're going to be working for So how long? How long do you stay in this position?
So it's a 2-year term, and then I will be back on campaigning again for the position. But it's a 2-year term for state representative, state senators. Hey guys, this is Derell Wilson. I just finished up my episode here on Talk. Make sure to check them out, subscribe, like, and listen to the episode.